the inland taipan is a venomous snake that is native to Australia. It has a reputation for being one of the most deadly snakes in the world because it can kill humans within seconds of being bitten by its venom, which contains neurotoxins and hemotoxins. Extremely fast and agile snake that can strike instantly with extreme accuracy, often striking multiple times in the same attack. The word fierce from the alternative name of the inland taipan describes its venom, not its temperament. Depending on the season, the inland taipan's dark tan can range from a rich, dark shade to a brownish light green. A wide blackish margin can be seen on many scales, and the back, sides, and tail may all be different tones of brown and gray. These darkly marked scales appear in diagonal rows, where the marks line up to form broken chevrons that are inclined backward and downward and vary in length. Frequently, the anterior yellow margin of the lowest lateral scales is present. The dorsal scales are streamlined and devoid of keels. It has a rectangular-shaped head and large, round, dark eyes. Males and females are difficult to reliably distinguish from each other. The back can vary anywhere between dark brown and yellowish brown, sometimes with an inky black-blue head, whereas the underside has yellow scales and orange blotches. The scales are colored in such a way as to create a zigzag pattern along the length of the body. These colors will change with the seasons. They become darker in the winter to retain warmth and lighter in the summer to prevent overheating. The eye is of average size with a blackish-brown iris and without a noticeable colored rim around the pupil. It has 23 rows of dorsal scales at mid-body, between 55 and 70 divided subcaudal scales, and one anal scale. The inland taipan averages approximately 1.8 meters in total length, although larger specimens can reach total lengths of 2.5 meters. Its fangs are between 3.5 and 6.2 millimeters long, shorter than those of the coastal taipan. How dangerous are they? The inland western taipan is sometimes cited as the most venomous snake in the world. They're even more venomous than the blue crate and the king cobra. An untreated bite, which may cause headaches, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and paralysis, has a very high fatality rate of more than 80%. Death usually occurs from respiratory failure and suffocation. According to the Australian Zoo, this snake is often said to have enough venom to kill 100 adult men in a single bite. This is due to its lethal toxicity, the large fangs, and the venom's fast-spreading action. The inland taipan was found to have the most toxic venom of all snakes in a test on mice. However, in reality, very few people have ever actually died from this snake because they're fairly timid and live in remote locations far from people. Bites almost always occur in a controlled environment where the person already knew they would be handling the snake. Herpetologists, wildlife keepers, and scientists are the most common victims. Despite the very high fatality rate from its bite, the antivenom usually provides a successful treatment to prevent death, assuming it can be delivered in enough time. Depending on how much of the venom has spread throughout the body, however, recovery can take weeks. Breeding. Inland taipan produce clutches of between 1 dozen and 2 dozen eggs. The eggs hatch 2 months later. The eggs are usually laid in abandoned animal burrows and deep crevices. Reproduction rate depends in part on their diet. If there is not enough food, then the snake will reproduce less. Captive snakes generally live for 10 to 15 years. An inland taipan at the Australia Zoo lived to be over 20 years old. Prey. In the wild, the inland taipan consumes only mammals, mostly rats. In captivity, it may also eat day-old chicks. Unlike other venomous snakes that strike with a single, accurate bite then retreat while waiting for the prey to die, the fierce snake subdues the prey with a series of rapid, accurate strikes. It is known to deliver up to 8 venomous bites in a single attack, often snapping its jaws fiercely several times to inflict multiple punctures in the same attack. Its more risky attack strategy entails holding its prey with its body and biting it repeatedly. This injects the extremely toxic venom deep into the prey. The venom acts so rapidly that its prey does not have time to fight back. Natural threats. The mulga snake is immune to most Australian snake venom and is known to also eat young inland taipans. The parentee is a large monitor lizard that also shares the same habitat. As it grows large enough, it will readily tackle large venomous snakes for prey. Humans interaction. Given its deadly nature, the inland taipan is surprisingly mellow and shy around people. Experts have learned how to handle them without being regularly bitten. Many reptile keepers consider it a placid snake to work with. Inland taipans are rarely encountered in the wild by the average person because of their remoteness and brief above-ground appearance during the day. So long as a person is not creating much vibration and noise, the inland taipan may not feel alarmed or bothered by a human presence. However, caution should be exercised and a safe distance maintained, as it can inflict a potentially fatal bite. The inland taipan will defend itself and strike if provoked, mishandled, or prevented from escaping. Firstly, but not always, it makes a threat display by raising its forebody in a tight low S-shaped curve with its head facing the threat. Should the person choose to ignore the warning, the inland taipan will strike. It is an extremely fast and agile snake that can strike instantly with extreme accuracy. For obvious reasons, anyone who isn't already working with this snake should avoid it at all costs to prevent an attack. Inland taipan versus black mamba. The black mamba and inland taipan are both extremely deadly snakes and belong to the same family of Elapidae, but they're somewhat distantly related to each other. The black mamba is only found in sub-Saharan Africa, not Australia. Where to find inland taipans? The inland or western taipan is a native of Australia. It can be found in the semi-arid black soil plains habitat of southwestern Queensland and northeastern South Australia in the interior central part of the country. It is presumed to be extinct in Victoria and New South Wales. This snake spends a lot of the hot day hiding in clay cracks or crevices, so it's rarely encountered by people. In Queensland, the snake has been observed in Diamantina National Park, Durry Station, Morney Plains Station, and Astrebla Downs National Park. And in South Australia, it has been observed in Goyder Lagoon, Tarari Desert, and Sturt Stony Desert. An isolated population also occurs near Coober Pedy, South Australia. Conservation status. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List, the inland taipan is a species of least concern. Although its range is fairly small and constricted in Central Australia, it doesn't appear to face any significant threats in the wild. Population numbers have never been estimated with any real accuracy. Like every Australian snake, the inland taipan is protected by law. Although the impact of potential threats requires further research, these are likely to be localized within the snake's range. The inland taipan's conservation status has also been designated by Australian official sources in captivity. According to the International Species Information System, inland taipans are held in 3 zoo collections: the Adelaide Zoo and Sydney Taronga Zoo in Australia and Moscow Zoo in Russia. In the Moscow Zoo, they are kept in the House of Reptiles, which is not usually open to the general public. The inland taipan is also on public display in Australia at the Australia Zoo, Australian Reptile Park, Billabong Sanctuary, Cairns Tropical Zoo, Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary, and Shoalhaven Zoo. The snake is also on display at several locations outside of Australia. In the United States, inland taipans are held at the Dallas Zoo, at Reptile Gardens, South Dakota, at Kentucky Reptile Zoo, and at Animal World and Snake Farm Zoo in Texas. In Europe, inland taipans are held in Sweden at the Stockholm Skansen Zoo and Gothenburg Universium, and in the UK at the London Zoo. Amateur zoo listings also report the snake in Tropicarium Park Gisalo, Italy, in Gifterhaus Einsheim, Welt der Gift Greifswald, and Terra Zoo Rheinberg, Germany, in Lausanne Vivarium Lausanne, Switzerland, in Randers Tropical Zoo Denmark, and in Reptilien Zoo Nachholm Padergassen, Austria. How many seconds would the inland venom take to kill a man? Because it can act so fast, it can kill a person within about 4 to 5 minutes. There have been reports of people experiencing effects of the venom within half an hour. The inland taipan can easily kill a person with a single bite, but surprisingly very few deaths have ever been recorded. They will only strike if they feel directly threatened. Nevertheless, this species should be avoided at all costs. That's all we have for you today, folks. Thanks for watching.